Coming up on today's show, what are the experts predicting would happen with the housing market if Harris wins? I'm also going to be answering all of your real estate questions, and we'll take a look at the mortgage rates of the day. I am David Mercier, and this is Dream Home with David. I like to bring you as much housing information as I can, so when it comes time for you to make a decision, you feel like you have as much knowledge as possible to make the best decision for you. Everybody has a different financial situation, goals, and needs for housing, and this is just a show to empower you to make the best choices. Of course, I always recommend you reach out to an expert like me. I am a licensed realtor in the state of California. I work with people all over the world. I have contacts in pretty much every city around the globe, so no matter where you want to buy or sell, I can help you. I really do specialize in helping people go from where they're at, maybe a rental, maybe a small condo, to that dream house. I love making a plan with people, helping figure out what goals and needs you have and putting that on paper, helping you keep on track with that. It might mean buying or selling a couple pieces of property. It might mean making some changes to your finances, but we can get there in the end. That's something that I love doing. I love seeing people's dreams come true with housing. And if that is something that's interesting to you, you can reach out to me and we can have a little chat, see if we're a good fit to work together. But thanks for being here. If you like the show, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and also leave any comments with feedback, or you can find me online and DM me. You can always submit any questions as a comment or a DM or visit my site. I'm all over the place at David K. Mercier, and you can submit a question or even send me an article or a funny real estate meme that you find. That would be great too. But let's get right into it. I am not a mortgage professional. I can connect you with some if you need to have some really detailed questions answered, but I do like to look at mortgage news daily to check out the day's mortgage rates. Let's see where they're at. Today, the 30 years fixed is at 6.55. It's a little bit up from last week, but it is down 0.65% over the last year, and it is down a little bit even from last month. We have seen rates trending down almost all year, and it is great news if you have been looking at homes and hoping that they'll drop a little bit before you pull the trigger. Also, let's take a look at the 7/6 adjustable rate mortgage. Now, a lot of this year it has been equal to or higher than the 30-year fixed. Right now it's at 6.4, so it's a little bit better. An adjustable rate, we'll get into that when I answer your questions, but it could make sense for you. Whenever you are thinking about loan, I definitely recommend you meet with a couple of lenders. All the facts that you can compare the rates and the details of each loan before you make a commitment to anybody. About 45% of people find a better deal by shopping around their mortgage, and I really encourage you to do that as well. And I can always connect you with people if you need a recommendation or two. All right, let's check out a couple of interesting housing headlines that came out this week. First up, Business Insider published a list of state property tax rates and some rules around all of that. And I thought it would be interesting to share with you because we do have a lot of people who move, especially from California to other states here, looking for a lower cost of living. And it's pretty interesting to look at this list. I'll put the link down below for you to check out. But I was kind of surprised to see that California is kind of in the middle of the road when it comes to our property tax percentage. At the bottom of the list, we've got Hawaii with 0.32%, where at the top of the list is New Jersey and 2.23%. Here in California, we're at 0.75%, and how property tax is calculated is they'll take the assessed value of your house or land, and they'll multiply that by this number. These percentages are including like city, county, and state taxes that would be applicable. Not every state has tax at each of those levels, but this is the total. And the assessed value of your home happens whenever you buy or sell property. There are a few exceptions, like if you inherit or if you change your tax, if you are able to move with your tax rate. But then also if there's another assessed value, like you've done a major renovation, maybe you've added square footage, or you've added like an extra unit on your property. And then there's some other caveats, and every state is going to have a few different rules about that. But that would trigger an assessment event, they call it, and then they would look at the new value of your home, and the next time your taxes are owed, you would be owing on that new assessed value. Next, there was an article from the CEO of KB Homes who said that he went through the housing market bubble in '08, and here is what he is seeing in today's market. And there's a lot of information in the article, and you can check it out below. But the main thing I wanted to share with you today is that he is saying for new builds, so there's still a number of companies across the country that are building new homes, new neighborhoods, and such, that their biggest factor that they're going to consider when deciding to lower the price of homes that they're building is going to be the inventory of the region where they're at. And so, one marker that we look at a lot to determine is it a buyer or seller market is how many months of inventory is available at that on whatever current day you look. That is looking at a lot of data to determine if everybody bought the homes that are on the market right now, how long would that last till there were no homes for sale? And so that can be neighborhood, town, county specific. So it can be really dialed in. And the builders are also going to be looking at that number depending on where their projects are. So it could be in a huge, across a county. It could be just one small neighborhood. It could be a few houses in a town. And so if you are curious about that, you could always Google like months of supply for homes in, my county, my city, whatever, and check that out and follow that number if you're looking for an indicator of when new build homes would come down in price. And lastly, I found a couple articles of experts weighing in their housing predictions if Harris is to win in the fall. First up, from GoBankingRates.com, they talked to a wealth management expert and a financial expert who deals with housing mostly, and they are both in agreement that there probably won't be a big change in the housing market if Harris is to win. They say that their policies of the Biden-Harris presidency have not really had too much effect on housing currently, and that so far Harris hasn't put forth any major changes to that. So they're thinking that things will kind of stay about where they are, which, if you remember a few weeks ago, I shared before Biden dropped out of the race, there were some articles about the same thing if he were to win, and most experts agreed that the housing market would stay relatively where it's at. But there was another article that pointed to 4 things that the Harris administration could do to boost the housing market. Now, this is just speculation, but they are thinking that Harris could boost housing affordability by building more and more low income homes, which we've talked about here. It would be a great way to help stabilize the housing market. The more inventory, whether it's low income or not, would really help prices level out across the country no matter where they're built. They also say that expanding first-time homeowner programs like down payment assistance, grants, or lottery systems, there are a lot of these around. Usually they're very challenging to qualify for, but expanding those type of programs would boost the economy. The housing market. Supporting sustainable building practices, which in the long term could lead to environmental benefits and maybe even cost savings, is something that the Harris administration could do to help boost the housing market. We talked about last week how eco-friendly homes are a sought-after market by a lot of buyers these days, and this is interesting that this is on the list after coming across that article last week. And lastly, they point to strengthening tenant protections. Now, California has some very, very strong tenant protection laws already on the books, and they continue to add more and more each year. Side note, if you are a landlord and you're not up to date with current laws, you should reach out to me. I've got some great resources I can send you. But they're saying that getting more people stably housed would help stabilize the housing market in general across the country. So what do you think if Harris is to win? What are your thoughts on the housing market? Let me know in the comment below. Now, before I get to answering your real estate questions, this is the week that the NAR settlement rules are going into effect across the country. And last week I covered a couple that are pertaining specifically to buyers. And if you haven't watched that, you should go back and watch it. I think it might appear somewhere here. Still figuring that out. Anyway, if you are currently um, looking to buy or sell and you're not familiar with what's going on, you can reach out to me. As long as you haven't signed anything to work with a specific agent, feel free to reach out to me. We can go over things and see if we're a good fit to work together. All right, let's turn to questions. You can always submit questions as a comment, as a DM on my website. I'm David K. Mercier, all over the place. Um, a lot of people sending questions that they can't find like concise information on Google. Maybe they're embarrassed to ask someone in person. Wherever you're at in the process, if you're thinking about a real estate question, other people are too. I promise you, you can send them in. I'll get to it on the show. I love seeing what you guys are thinking about. We've had like some fun questions, very serious questions, of course, and I'll take them all. So feel free to send them in. This first one is interesting, and I wonder if it's sparked because the adjustable rate loan mortgages has finally gotten to a better than the conventional uh, rate. And a lot of people do ask about adjustable rate mortgages. It doesn't always make sense for people, but they ask what's the difference between a fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgage. An adjustable rate mortgage is different from a conventional loan where there's a time period where the rate is going to be set. So right now, I think it was 5.75 was the Mortgage News Daily rate. And then after that period, usually it's 7 years. Sometimes it can be 5, sometimes it can be 10, but usually it's 7. And then so you would be getting a loan that's called like a 7/6 ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. So for 7 years it would be fixed, and then every 6 months it's going to adjust based on the market. So it could be a huge swing, and that's what happened in a lot of homes in the '08 housing market crash bubble, whatever. Um, People were getting out all these super cheap loans that were adjustable rates, and then rates started skyrocketing, and now all of a sudden, people who have either one house or many houses are seeing huge jumps in their monthly payments that they need to make, and then they're underwater in their home. They can't make their payments, and they were like abandoning their homes, and then we had like a million foreclosures, right? um, it's very hard for that to happen now. Banks have changed the qualification process immensely. Like they're actually verifying that you are who you are and that you have income, which they weren't doing in the past. But could be a great way to get in a loan. A lot of people live in their first and second home for less than 7 years, and so if the rate makes sense for you and you know that you're going to be moving on sooner rather than later, it could be a way for you to get a great rate, get in the house, build up some equity, and then sell it or refinance. But refinancing can be risky if you are not expecting rates to go down. But you can always refinance, check the terms of your loan and check with a professional. Um, but you can typically refinance and lock in a rate at that point. So could make sense to you, especially if you don't want to go FHA loan, but the ARM rate is a lot better than the conventional. Right now they're really close, but could make sense to you depending on your price point. You know, a tenth of a percent could be a good amount of cash each month, right? So if you have questions, let me connect you with a professional. I'm just an agent who is, surface level familiar with them, but a mortgage professional can really walk you through all the details, and I'd love to connect you if that is something that you're interested in. Just reach out to me at any time. So I hope that is helpful. All right, next we've got what are some common issues that come out in a home inspection? Um, this is really tricky because it really depends on where you live, I think, the age of the home. There's tons and tons of factors, and a home inspector is going to literally point out every tiny thing they see that could use attention. Typically, they're going to grade everything. So there's going to be like red flags, there's going to be cautionary things, and there's going to be like cosmetic things like, um, like holes in the wall, or like nail holes in the wall. I mean, or maybe like a cracked outlet cover. Like the item is still functioning, but they notice this, so they want to point it out, so they don't have the liability of um, skirting around something, and then you buy the home and you come back and say you didn't point this out. Anyway, I will say, even on a new construction home, I recommend having a home inspection done. You're still going to get a huge report. There's going to be a ton of little things that they point out. It's probably not going to have major things like roof is leaking, air conditioner is broken, plumbing is all, wonky. But I tell all of my clients that because the report is going to be massive no matter what state the home is in. Um, the big systems you want to check out are the plumbing, obviously, the electrical, and the heat or the HVAC system if there's air conditioning involved. A lot of homes, people are shocked by this all the time. A lot of homes in SoCal don't have air conditioning. It really depends on how close you are to the coast and how new your house is. Uh, but the home I grew up in didn't have AC, and my house currently doesn't have AC. But we do get a pretty nice ocean breeze, even though we're not super close to the coast. But anyway, sorry for that personal tidbit. Um, it's really hard to say if there's like a common thing that we see across a lot of inspection reports, because um, every house is in a different location, different condition, and yeah, there you go. And lastly, we've got a great question. They ask, how do I know if my offer is competitive? Well, if you're working with a good agent, they're going to be reaching out to the listing agent. They're going to get as much information as they can. Some listing agents are pretty coy, others are open about where they're at. I always start with asking, what are your clients' deal breakers, or what are they looking for? Most agents are going to say the highest price. Um, Others might let you know some personal information about them, like they're looking for their next home and they need a little bit more time to find that, or they're relocating for a job and they need a quicker escrow. And so, having your agent do few minutes of intel can really help your offer be shaped in a super competitive way. But the agent is never going to tell your agent, the listing agent, but the listing agent is never going to tell your agent all of the facts in an offer if they've received offers. Um, and so it is really hard to tell. So you want to be um, as comfortable as possible with your offer that you're putting together, because it could be accepted outright. My goal as a buyer's agent is to put together an offer that you're comfortable with, that we agree will be a standout offer to the sellers, right? Now, there are a lot of other factors that we can use to figure out where to come in at, and that would be something that we discuss if we were officially working together. But I do have a pretty good track record of getting an offer accepted um, on the first or second house when I'm working with my clients, and I think that has to do with my like total strategy of going after a home for my clients. So if you'd like to learn more about that, let me know. We can see if we're a good fit to work together. All right, that is the show for today. Thank you guys for sticking around. I really appreciate your time. Please like this video and click subscribe. You don't even need to watch every video that I post. Subscription would be super helpful as I try to grow this audience. And also, please submit questions or articles, even funny real estate memes that you find. I'd love to check out what you guys are seeing out there. Remember, I'm David. I'm a licensed realtor in California. Love helping people go from renting to wealthy with real estate, or just from wherever they're at to that dream home. And I know that together we can make a great plan to do so. So hit me up whenever you're ready. Hope you have a great day. Thanks.